So we ended on Chav Ches Amud Beis. We thought that we had a good answer. He says, so the Gemara answered b'dinischini. We thought that we can make a distinction as to why, in one case we said, or Rav said that you cannot make an eruv with this, with these bad dates, and Rabbi Yehuda and the Tanna Kama seem to say that these bad dates are fine. The question is what they were referring to. So our answer yesterday, when we left, was that b'dinischini, that it depends. Well, are they male date trees? And they are. And if it's male, then as Rashi pointed out yesterday, that's the end of their development. They're not going any further. And therefore, since it's a Gemar Peron, they're considered food. But when Rav said that these unripe dates are not valid for an Eruv, which puts them in the non-food category, is the fact that they have more to go, and therefore no one would normally cut them off at this point, since they will develop into nice, wonderful dates. Okay, it's not Gemar Pire, and therefore it will not work. Okay, so we're now attributing the Tanna Kama and the Rabbi Yehuda, who talked about the Kafnios, is referring to the male dates, where this is their end game. And at the same time, Rabbi Yehuda said that you cannot P'turas ben a meiser. That's the only thing that he said. There are fruits in all matters. El P'turas ben a meiser. So the Gemara says ihachi. Right, so that's what we're up to. So right, we're up to ihachi. We just answered b'dinischini. So wait a minute. If you're talking about a situation where it's the end of the fruit life, in terms of now it's ready to be cut off and it's never getting any sweeter and any better, and that's what Rav was not referring to. He was referring to the female one, but Rabbi Yehuda and the Tanna Kama were referring to the male one. If that's what you want to say, Yachi, B'halayim Rabbi Yehuda P'turas ben a meiser. Would Rabbi Yehuda say that a fruit that maybe is, well, it's not sweet, it's not the best type of date, but it's not getting any better, and it's definitely still edible. So why in the world would Rabbi Yehuda say you put it from meiser in that situation? Vatanya, we have a rice that says Rabbi Yehuda lo yhuskru page beisyuni elin yemaisa b'vad. Okay, we learned in the brisa that the rules regarding page beisyuni, these raw figs, okay, which didn't yet get finished yet, they were the only halacha mentioned regarding them is about meiser. And what is that? That page beisyuni evahini lutuvino chayav meiser. That they both are muchayav meiser. They're referring to both the unripe figs and the unripe dates. That because this is their end game, they're chayav and meiser. So this whole idea of that they're referring to the nischini of the male date trees that don't have any further lifespan as far as development into becoming better. So therefore, this is as far as it's going to go. The idea of saying that that's what Rabbi Yehuda was referring to in the Tanna Kama, and that's how you answer the stira, that doesn't work, because clearly I'm showing you that if it was the end game, you would be mechuyev in meiser according to Rabbi Yehuda. So clearly, and Rabbi Yehuda and the Tanna Kama are referring to the same context, referring to the same situation. So there's no way you're going to argue that that's the pshat. That's what they're referring to. Clearly, they're referring to the female ones who have more lifespan, and that destroys the answer to defend Rav. So what are we going to do now? So let's catch up on the Rashis. Right after B'dinischini, next Rashi, Lihuskru b'tosefta de Shviyas. This is a Tosefta in Mesachos Shviyas. U'maisa b'gemara de Psachim perek makom shenagu ochlim b'teinim ad shichlu page beisuni. What's the Gimel? After Gimel, okay. Makom shenagu ochlim b'teinim ad shichlu page beisuni. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Okay, that's like it's referring to Allah of Shvis, how long you can eat the stuff in the field. So, and the Tanna Kama said you can eat them until these dates finish up. They're not available anymore. Rabbi Yehuda says that was only said regarding the issue of Meiser. Page, so what are Page? Ta'enim hein shalom bash. These are types of figs from a certain place that have not been fully ripened yet. And ahini hein kafnios. These are the same thing as the unripe dates that we've been talking about. Vein to the tuvina. V'hanach the tuvina kulam zchorim heim. And these of tuvina are all male. Umishum hachi chayav meiser. Okay, and that's why you chayav meiser the Gemara Peirahu. That it's the end. It's the end of their development, right? This is referring to the male ones that are done. That's how the Gemara proved that you can't say that Rabbi Yehuda would have said about male dates that they're patam in a meiser, because clearly here he's saying mechuyev in meiser, meaning that he must have been referring to the female dates where there's more to go, and then that, like I said, that destroyed the resolution to the stira between Rav and this brisa. So mishum hachi chayav ma'aser the Gemara Piru. The reason why you chayav ma'aser because it's the end of its development. V'kolshi and the Gemara Piru l'sharmili. And if you mechuyev ma'aser, you certainly mechuyev. It's certainly considered Gemara Peri for other matters, and there's no way you'd say you can't make an eruv with them. So ma'aser, since it's at the end game and there's no more to go, and clearly he says you mechuyev in ma'aser, so we're back to how did Rav say that you can't make an eruv with these unripe dates when these unripe dates seem to be held by the other Tanoim that it's fruits, they're considered fruits. So what's pshat? So back to the Gemara. So Eliolam lav b'denischi. Okay, I have to go back and tell you no. My aunt said that they were referring, the Tanam were referring to male, and Rav was referring to female. That doesn't work. When it comes to the status of making things tameh as food, it's got a different rule as opposed to the eruv aspect. The tumas ochlin and eruv are really dealing with two different issues, and therefore you can separate and answer the stira that way. How? So one more time, it's not referring to the male date tree. Just like Rav Yochanan said in another place, that fruits, since they're fit to be made sweet, these certain type of produce is made to become sweet through fire. Hachanami, here too the same concept applies. They are. So they're considered food not because of their edibility right now, because they're not viewed as really being edible right now, but they are able to be made sweet through heat, through fire, and made edible. And therefore, when it comes to Tumas Ochlin, that's the criteria, and that's why we're going to consider it Ochel in the Brisa, and between Rabbi Yehuda and the Tanna Kama, they both consider it Ochel. When it comes to the issue of Erev, right now, Erev is not about cooking. You can't cook on Shabbos. You got to be able to put something around in the place that's considered food right now. That would not be considered food right now. Therefore, since they have two different criteria, that would resolve the two different halachas. So look at Rashi. V'yochel matkon alfal pisha akshav b'katnusan morin. And even though right now, when they're small, younger state, they are bitter. Avolinian Erev bina mididach. Ava pisha akshav b'katnusan morin hein. Okay, avolinish. I don't know why it's ava. It's not contrasting. This is part of the explanation. Avolin Erev bina mididach. But he's shaita, right? When it comes to Erev, we need something that's fitting at that particular time. Vani haloma takninu. Okay, and these are not able to be eaten right now. They're not in a good state, so of course they will not be eligible. That's what Rav was saying. Well, in Meiser, mishon gomar peruhu. And also when it comes to Meiser, because it's not considered gemar pere. But when it comes to Tumah, okay, because that was a statement that he made. Nikchim b'kesav ma'aser mitamas tumas eichlin. And what was the Rabbi? That was the Tanna Kama's lashon. Rabbi said The kifners harayu kaprilu chol devreim el shepturas b'na meiser. Right, so you don't have to give meiser from them. He says, right, so you don't have to give meiser because it's not the end of its development. So that would make everything make sense. Tumas ochlin, yes, meiser, no, and even though yes, they are considered fruits in all other matters, but because of its ability to become sweet through fire, when it comes to the halach of erev, you need edibility right now, and you don't have it, and therefore everything is good, and that would reconcile the stira. Okay, so using this principle of Rabbi Yochanan, we now understand the differences of each particular context. Okay, now back to the Gemara. So now we quote Rabbi Yochanan. We'd like to know where Rabbi Yochanan said this. Where did Rabbi Yochanan say his concept and articulate this idea that since things could become edible and sweet through fire, they are considered foods, at least regarding certain issues, not legabi meiser, not legabi eruv, but legabi tumas ochlin, they would be considered food. So where did he say it? Vehecha vechit ben Rabbi Yochanan ha de Tanya. He said it about this brisa. Shkedim hamorim ketanim chayavim gedolim peturim. So you have these bitter almonds. I guess they used to grow almonds that were bitter, but they were bitter when they got big. So ketanim, when they're small, they're not yet fully ripe. You can get them in its edible state, and you're good to go. And you chayiv in meiser gedolim peturim. Okay, but when they're big and they're fully developed, then you're putter because now that's when they're bitter and no one wants to eat them. Misukim, if they're if they're sweet almonds, meaning when they become ripe, they become very sweet. So that's a really different type of almond. Gedolim chayavin, when they're big, and they're sweet, and now they're ready to go, and you're ready to eat them. Obviously chayavin. You'll be obligated to meiser. Ketanim, if those sweet almonds are now in its early stage, where now they're inedible, peturin. They're potter. Reb Shimon mishum aviv zev leptur. Reb Shimon, the son of Rabbi Yossi, said the name of his father, the great Rabbi Yossi, that both the big and the small bitter almonds are potter. And the other people say that he argued not that they're both potter ma'isa, but they're both chayiv ma'isa. While the Tanakama split the difference, and he said small chayiv, big potter, either Rabbi Yossi argued that they're both chayiv, or Rabbi Yossi said you're both potter. And Omer Eloi, Rabbi Chanina b'tziparik devrei Omer zev p'tur. Okay, that Rabbi Eloi paskin. He said Rabbi Chanina paskin and tzipari, like the one who says that Rabbi Yossi said they're both potter from meiser. Both the big ones and the small ones are potter. So the obvious question is, how could somebody have said that they're both chayiv? I get why you're both potter, because when they're sweet, they're not fully grown, and when they're ripe, they're bitter. So I get the logic of both potter, but what's the logic of both being chayiv? How could you be chayiv when they're big, they're bitter, and they're not really edible, nobody wants to eat them, so why in the world would you be chayiv? And here it is, on Rabbi Yochanan, it was here that Rabbi Yochanan said a statement, since you're able to make it sweet through fire, so there is a level of food there that would allow it to be considered a good food, so that would be the Rabbi Yossi's logic to say you're chayiv. And we're going to adapt that concept to the Gemara here, to why these Tanoim held that even though it wasn't, they're not good right now, these dates, and therefore that's why Rav said that they're not eligible for an Erev, they are eligible for the other halachas of Tumas Eichlin because they're able to be made into a food through heat. Okay, let's catch up on the Rashis here. Ketanim chayavin. So if they're small, they're mechuyev mishum shugamar perishalen. Okay, this is the end. This is the best you're going to get. They're never going to get better than this. Therefore, so for these small almonds, this is its end game. Gadlim nasamorim, because when they become bigger, they become bitter. So who wants bitter almonds? Okay, Ugedolim Peturim Mimaiser Delavechelinu, and when they become bigger, they are potter because they're not considered food anymore. Who wants them? Mesukim, if they're the regular conventional sweet almonds, Ketana Peturim, if they're small, then you're potter lo nigmur because they're not Gemar. It's not Gemar Malachton. V'zel Ptur. So Rabbi Yossi came along according to his son and said they're both potter. Morim, referring to the bitter ones, ben gedol ben ketanim, whether it be big or small, you're not going to mechuyev meiser. Why not? Gedolim delavuchlu, because when they're big, they're not food. Ketam delav gemar pir, and when they're younger and they're smaller, they're not done yet. There's still a lot more for them to grow. Okay, so the question was, so how in the world would you say they're both chiyuv, right? Because we had two different versions as to what was said, and the answer was, like Rabbi Yochanan said, that they're able to become food through the heating mechanism. So the Tanakama is conventional; he holds right now, but I don't judge Maisa by heat, by potential. I judge Maisa by what it is right now, and it was Rabbi Yossi. It was that opinion that said l'chiyuv that says no, you can judge it by its potential through heat. Okay, back to the Gemara. So remember yesterday we had mentioned when we quoted this brisa the first time, we said it sounds like Rabbi Yehuda and Tanakama really say the exact same thing. So we have to figure out how they're arguing. So Amar, let's go back up above. Rabbi Yehuda Eimer Kurareyu Ke'etz L'chol Devarav. Okay, so Rabbi Yehuda said that the hearts of palms are like wood in all matters. They're not considered food because they're eventually going to get hard. If you keep them where they are, they're going to get hard. El shikach bekesef meiser, but you can't buy them with meiser sheni because right now they're a food. So in other matters of taking meiser from those kind of things, but as far as buying them in Yerushalayim with the meiser sheni money, that's a whole different criteria. And as long as they slice nicely into your salad, and you want to have that for your Meiser Sheni barbecue, kol kavod. So Gemara asks, well, Haina Tanakama. That's exactly the same thing as the Tanakama who said essentially the same idea, that they're considered food for everything. Right? He says, okay, so they say different expressions, but essentially it boils under the exact same thing, that they're both saying that the hearts of palms are fine. Okay, so Hana Tanakama is not the same thing as the Tanakama. Amrabaye shloku v'tognu ikebinayu. The difference would be if you cooked it or you fried it. That will be the nafkamina with these hearts of palms. Okay, so let's look at Rashi. Shloku mevushel harba, you cooked it for a real long time. The tignu b'shemen, or in the Chanukah spirit, you fried them in oil. Rabbi Yehuda filu shloku v'tignu emitama. So according to Rabbi Yehuda, that he made the statement, they're not mitama tumas ochlin. It's because of its. If you leave it there, it's going to become hard. That it wouldn't change just because you fried it, just because you cooked it. Hearts of palm just don't get into that category of tumas ochlin. Tanakama im sholku v'tignu mitame delo amrinon. What's the dalid? Delo omar. He would not say harehu ke'etz. It's not amri, but omar. Delo omar harehu ke'etz. He wouldn't say it's considered like wood because you've now changed it. By cooking it and by frying it, he would not say enamatama. It's betama to masochlim because now you're in a different state. Again, Rabbi Yehuda, by saying kurareu ke'etzachol dvarav, okay, that the message would be that no, even frying it or cooking it does not change it from it being like wood, and the only thing you're allowed to do with it is you're allowed to buy it with the Meiser Sheni money. Okay, so that would be the point. If you change it to a more permanent state where it's going to be edible, does that change the Lagabi Tumas Ochlin? And that's a Machlokas Tanakama versus Rabbi Yehuda. So there is a difference. Okay. Back to the Gemara, first wide line. What? So You're telling me that he holds that cooking it and frying it doesn't change, and when he said "Ariu eitzu chol dvarav," that's Rabbi Yehuda's position. That's machlokas. Really, this is somebody who doesn't hold that cooking or frying it makes a difference. Vatanya, what do you do with this brisa that says or vashilya, skin, or the amniotic sac where the child is developing in the mother's stomach there as an animal? Okay, it just because you cook it, just because you. I'm sorry, you didn't cook anything yet. They, as they are right now, are not considered food, and therefore they're not metamatumas ochlin. Okay, or shesholku v'shil shechiri. Okay, but a skin that you did cook for a long time, or a shilya, this amniotic thing there, this sack that it was in, that you thought about it to make it into food, metamatumas ochlin. Somehow, I guess. I don't know, maybe in time it becomes edible, but somehow maybe there are people will see that you thought about it. I guess maybe also cooking could help from it. Therefore, maybe you planned on making it into food. So you thought about it. They are able to become tumas, and it's a brayso that has no dissenting views. There's no people who disagree. So why would it be? That you're telling me that the machlokus is, does cooking change it? Seems over here that you have skin and you have a shilya, and your thought process does change it, and there's nobody that disagrees. Therefore, Rava says you're right. If you cooked it or you fried it, that would change the halacha, and no one would still maintain that doesn't have a din of ochlin at that point. Bracha. The machlokes between the Tanakama and Rabbi Yehuda about the hearts of palms is what bracha you make. Amazingly, where's Gary, who want to know what bracha you make on it? Well, okay, he should be here today. Hopefully, he'll hear the tape. Hello, Gary. Okay. Let's see. El Amarava ikebenayu bracha. Now, if it would be bracha, the itmar, as we said, kar. What do you do with hearts of palms? Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Bari Pri Adama. This is Rav Yehuda the Amoira says the Bari Pri Adama. V'shvol Amash Hakol Nivari. Okay, Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Bari Pri Adama uchlahu. Rabbi Yehuda says it's Bari Pri Adama because right now it's food. Who doesn't like some hearts of palms? Shmuel Omar Shakol Nivavaroi. Shmuel says no, it's only a shahakol. Why? Kivan Shasayfay Lahakshais. That would probably reflect Rabbi Yehuda's position, who says who eats the chol devara, it's considered wood, meaning in what respect? Not about the cooking. It's about right now as the hearts of palms. It is not going to. If it would stay, it would not stay like this forever. It would become wood. You don't make a bare pri hadama when it's not really a pri hadama because it's the natural state. It becomes hard. So you make a shakol nivari. Okay, so there you have it. So Rav Yehuda says, Shmuel says Rav Yehuda, an expression he uses fairly often about Rav Yehuda, sharp one. It makes sense like you. Even though he argued, Shmuel said you make a shakol, it makes sense like you that you should make a bar pri adama. Why? That's nine shesayfel hakshais. Right? If you leave a radish in the ground, what's going to happen to the radish? It's going to become really hard, like a piece of wood. And yet, what bracha do you make on radishes? Make a bar piyadama on it. So doesn't that show that you go by its present state and not by its long-term result? So isn't that a proof to Rav Yehuda that Rav Yehuda is right? It's interesting. Does that mean that Shmuel is capitulating? It doesn't sound like he's necessarily capitulating. He's just saying it makes sense like you. Sounds like I'm not you. But let's see. Mar says, nice try, Shmuel, in supporting Rav Yehuda. It's wonderful and heartwarming that you're willing to support your adversary here in halacha. But your try is not really well founded. Tana good raya. Why not? Tanayin, a radish, not the inshadaita the pugla. Because when you plant a radish, your plant is, you take it out when it's a radish. Your plant is not to leave it there till it becomes hard. Either if you left it there, shkoyach, but that's not the way radishes are planted, and it's not the thought process of the farmer. Dikla, when it comes to date trees, nobody plants a date tree for the hearts of palms. Okay, unless, I don't know, it became a new business. But typically you plant the date tree to keep the date tree as is, and you develop dates, and all the other wonderful advantages of having date trees. But you're not going to start taking its heart out by taking the hearts of palms earlier. I mean, clearly someone is doing it because you can buy hearts of palms on the shelf. But in those days, that was not the typical way of planting date trees. So one more time, Tsanoi not the insha adaita de pugla, dikla lo not the insha adaita de kura. People do not plant date trees with the focus and the plan of taking out the hearts of palms. The Afagav the Kalsei Shmuel reviewed, even though Shmuel was praised Rabbi Yehuda and said it makes sense like you, Shmuel, and that's where the test seems to be. So indeed, it does seem that you do make a shahakol on the hearts of palms as opposed to a bar priyadama. Okay, let's take a look at the Rashi. Or shishoku matame. Okay, a skin that you cooked it real long, it does become tum, even though it's not food in its present form. No one eats raw skin of an animal, but if you cook it, it could become edible. But there you have to actually cook it. You can't transform it with a plan in your mind. That doesn't work. It's got to actually be done. On the other hand, shilya, I feel machshava gridasa. Even the thought process to plan on cooking it to make it into an edible item, that would be good enough. If thought process it works for a skin to make skin into food, certainly it's going to make the hearts of palms fit for achila from its very inception. There's no way that they're arguing about whether you cook it and does that change it, because there isn't a man alive who would say it changes it. So what is the nafkamina then? That if that doesn't work and that's not a good dispute between the Tanna Kamma and Rabbi Yehuda, so what is the dispute? The dispute is the bracha. Okay, bracha kibenayu l'Tanna Kamma bar pi'adama. According to Tanna Kamma, he says you make an adama on hearts of palms. Rabbi Yehuda shakol the seifel ha'hakshus. Since it's going to get hard in the end, then you have to make a shakol. And then Shmuel says it makes sense like you adaita the pugla la'ochlok shurach. Okay, to eat it when it was soft. That's okay. That seems to be the answer, Eddie. That even though your attempt is very nice, there's a fundamental difference between planting radishes where the das is on the radish to take it out when it's in that radish state before it gets hard, while the hearts of palms, the reason why you plant the tree is not to take out the hearts of palms early, and therefore there's very good justification to give it a shahakol and to make it different than a radish. Okay, fine. So let's back to the two dots. Back to the Gemara. Gufa. So we mentioned up above. Amar V'Yuda Marav Koshus v'Chazes Ma'arvim Behen. Okay, that was on Amud Aleph. We said that the koshus, the green grain. Hops. Sorry, koshus is the hops. V'Chazes is the green grain. So these two things, Ma'arvim Ben, you are allowed to put them in your erev basket to make an erev from this stuff. And also, once we're talking about these two, you also make a bar priyadama on them. So now we're going to want to know koshus bekama. So how much hops do you have to justify it being enough for two sudas for an erev, right? Because generally the rules of an erev is enough for 2 meals. That's what you normally have a day. 2 meals a day. So if that's what you're having, how much hops would qualify for that? So koshus bekama. So how many hops do you need? Kedamar Rav Chil kamali hayad. So Rav Chil says a handful. I'm sorry. Kedamar Rav Chil kamali. Just like Rav Chil said in his context that the shear is a handful. So too here too the shear is a handful of hops will be enough to keep you going for 2 days. So just like Kedamar Rav Chil kamaliyad, hachinami kamaliyad. That's the answer. The answer is you need enough that will fill up your hand. Chazes bekam. What about the green grain? How much of that do you need to be considered enough for an erev? Amar Rav Tuvia bar Yitzchak Amarav kamalei uzilta. Okay, like the 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 stalks you put together, like the bundles you put together from the farmers. Let's do the Rashi. How much a farmer would put together of this green grain. Okay, Adaita, we did that. Koshus Bekama, right? A few lines up from the bottom there in Rashi. Havele Muslim Be Sudos. How much is it considered 2 meals? Darmin Kamon Muslim Shei Sudos Erev. We're going to learn on Daf Pei that the shear for an Erev is 2 meals. So how much hops qualifies as 2 meals? So we answered it was a handful. And what about the green grain? Uzilta. What's a zilta? Vial blaz, agudos yerek shekarchen ikarim. The farmers bundle these things into a little bundle and they tie them up, and that size that is considered. I guess maybe they sell it that way, or they just sort of package it that way. Whatever is that amount of packaging that covers that the farmers do would be enough to cover 2 meals. Okay, weiter. Okay, Amarav Kamalei Uzilta the Ikri. Okay, so I missed the word back in the Gemara. I missed the Ikri of the farmers. So the full bundle of the farmer is the shear of 2 meals. Amrav Chilkia, continuing. Amrav Chilkia bar Tuvia Ma'arvin bekalya. Okay, you're allowed to make an erev with kalya. What's kalya? Kelach, Rashi says, Kelach shel esev v'kosha eitz. The bundle of this type of green grassy herb, but it's hard as wood. Okay, so I don't know if they translate what kalya is, but it's a hard type of grassy thing that grows from the ground. So really, Gemara says the kalya sakedaitach. Okay, if you actually this stalk which becomes very hard, okay, that you make an air from that can't be. It's like hard as wood. No one's going to eat it. Okay, so b'kalya sakedaitach ela b'yarka dekalya. Now, what I mean is the vegetable that grows from this this type of hard stalk, hard grain, whatever. Okay, so I don't know if they translated what it is. They say, does it have a name? Not really. Okay, b'yarka dekalya. Okay, some kind of what?
A handful of kalya.
Okay, well, no, but right before that. I mean, they call it kalya. We're about to get to the handful, right? So it's the yerek of the kalya that we said is valid for an erev. The kama. So how much you have to put in to the basket to qualifies an erev? Amravichil kamali ayat, like a handful, a full hand. Okay, so whatever this kalya is, apparently the actual stalk itself is too hard, but the vegetable that grows out of it is apparently good to go. Okay, Rabbi Yirmiyah nafak l'kiraisa. Okay, so he went out to the villages. Last Rashi on the page, l'kiraisa kfarim liros b'tvaso. So he went out to the villages to check on his grain. How are my farms doing in the villages out there? So boy minay. So once the big rabbi Rav Yirmiyah goes out to check on his farm, the farmers are obviously going to take advantage and ask him whatever shalos they might have. So he goes out there and boy minay mahu la'arev bepulin lachin. Okay, can you make an erev out of moist beans? Can moist beans be part of your erev? So lo havabiyadei, he did not have an answer. He didn't have his Art Scroll bracha book. So he didn't have a solid answer. Amrulay, when he came into the base medrash, and I guess he wanted to know what's the deal with moist beans. Amrulay, yes, you are allowed to make an erev with moist beans. The kama, how much moist beans do you need for the erev? There they have it again. It seems like the handful is wonderful. I don't know. Seems like today we maybe eat more than they did in those days. Not sure how much a handful is going to take you, to have 2 meals from it, but whatever. That's apparently what they had in those days. Okay, so a handful of this moist beans will be enough for an erev. That you're allowed to make an erev with raw beets, right? Beets. Really? Raw beets is good for an erev? Aini, could that be? Silka, chaya, kotel. gavra chaya. Okay, Rav Chizda said that raw beets kill live people. Okay, with the word chaya referring to either a little play on words, meaning raw, and it means alive. So if you eat raw beets, that's yabamish killing yourself. So how can you tell me that something that kills you is considered valid for an Erev? Clearly it's not a food. So what's the story? So the Gemara answers, no, that when Rav Chizda said that raw beets kills you, hahu b'bashel loy bashel. Okay, that's when it's cooked and not really cooked. When it's quasi-cooked, then it's dangerous. Look at Rashi, bashel loy bashel kotl gavra. That's when it can kill somebody because somehow either if you have it raw, it's one thing. If you have it cooked, it's one thing. But if it's chaplap nishtin nishteher, then it's going to get you into trouble. Okay, ikadamre. Another version of what just transpired, it went down as follows. Okay, that it's not sort of a question with an answer, but it's actually a statement of support. Rav Huna says you do not make an eruv with raw beets. Why? The Amr of Chizda silka chaya katel gavra chaya, because raw beets will kill a live person. Chazina, it's a little different way. Now we ask the question on the supporter of Chizda. We see people eating raw beets and they don't die. So how can you tell me it's poisonous when it seems like it's perfectly okay? The answer is that Rav Chizda said it about situations where it's not fully cooked and it's not fully raw. It's right in the middle. That's when it becomes problematic. But when it's one or the other, it's fine and it's good to go, and therefore you can make an erev with them. Okay, Amr of Chizda. Let's do the Rashi. Iked the Amrei, Amr of Hamnuna, v'chazina and inish ta'achliv le'maisi, and the more answer also b'bashal le'bashal, right? So that's his girsa. So ki kama Rav Hamnuna ein ma'arvin b'bashal le'bashal. When Rav Hamnuna said you cannot make an erev, he was referring to this mid-range state where it's cooked but not fully cooked, and that's where it gets into a real problem. Okay, Amr of Chizda. Rav Chizda says, "Tafshel shel tar din yofel leiv v'tov leinayim v'kol shkei libnei ma'ayim." That when you cook these beets, no, what? Not turnips, right? What are it was? Beets, yeah. So he says, "Tafshel tar din yofel leiv is good for the heart, it's good for the eyes, and it's certainly good for the stomach." And Amr Abaye Vud Yosef Apei Tapi Vi Ovid Tuch Tuch. That's only when they're sitting in a pot and they're fully cooked and you go Tuch Tuch, then you're good to go. Rashi Apei Tapi Bekira Mokom Shtfisa Kadera on top of the stove, the place where you have the pot there cooking. Vavid Tuch Tuch Shemavushel Yofa. It's cooked well. V'Nesami Kuloi Achni Muach, and it becomes like it sort of melts down until it's really hot until it melts down. Kshu Rosech Deme Kemashmiya Kol. And when it gets really hot, the pot starts popping and says tuch. It sounds like it's tuch tuch. Then it's good to go. Okay.